2025. Goa welcomed over 1 crore tourists. But here's the shocking part. The more people visit Goa, the faster it is collapsing. If you look into Goa today, it feels like a success story. In 2025 alone, Goa attracted 1.1 crore tourists. That is a record high. While the tourist numbers are increasing, the kind of tourist Goa used to attract is quietly disappearing. Foreign tourists, one who stay longer, spend more, and contribute significantly to the local economy, have dropped around 8.9 lakh to 5.2 lakh. That's a drop of approximately 40%. Charter flights, which used to bring in these high-value tourists, have almost collapsed. From over 1,000 flights a year to less than 200. That's an 80% drop. So yes, people are coming to Goa, but the value per tourist is falling. The pressure on the state is increasing and the returns are decreasing drastically. Goa was never just about only parties and nightclubs. Its beauty is not accidental, it was supported by nature. Sand dunes along the coastline acted as natural barriers, protecting the land from erosion and rising sea levels. Mangroves filtered water and stabilized the coast. Wetlands stored water, supported biodiversity, and protected entire communities from flooding. These weren't just natural features, these are the things that kept Goa alive for decades. And today, those systems are breaking. In places like Baga and Kalingat, the entire stretches of sand dunes have been flattened to make way for constructions. Wetlands that once supported the villages and the ecosystems have been quietly reduced, not by nature, but through changes in official boundaries. In some cases, protected zones have shrunk as much as 77% just to make construction moving. Goa generates nearly 26,000 tons of plastics each year. A large part of this waste doesn't get properly processed. Instead, it ends up in river, beaches, and eventually in mangrove forest. Mangroves, which are supposed to act like a natural barrier, now acts like a barrier for the plastics. Once plastics enter into this ecosystem, it doesn't come out. It breaks down into microplastics and eventually ended up in our food. Now at this point, it's natural to think that Goa is at least making some money out of this tourism. After all, the state's 16% GDP is contributed by the tourism sector itself. But even here, the reality is more complicated. A significant portion of that money doesn't stay in Goa at all. Estimates suggest that around 30 to 40% of the tourism revenue leaks out of the state. This happens in many ways. Large hotel chains send profit outside. High-end goods and services are imported instead of sourced locally. What remains within the economy is far less. Meanwhile, the cost of living continues to rise. Property prices increase. So while tourism grows on paper, the benefits don't grow equally for the people who actually live there. For many locals, it feels like their own home is becoming inaccessible day by day. And then there is experience on ground. If you have visited Goa recently, you must have noticed this by yourself. Something as simple as transportation becomes a problem. A short taxi ride around 10 kilometers can cost you up to 1,600 rupees. This isn't random pricing. It's a result of how the system is structured. Ride-sharing platforms like Ola or Uber is non-existent there. Local taxi unions dominate the market. In many cases, hotels are tied to specific taxi networks, leaving tourists with very few alternatives. For visitors, this often becomes one of the first points of frustration. It changes the entire perception of that place. But the deeper issues goes beyond the tourism and the pricing. It is at the core of its land. Recently, investigations uncovered scams of worth 1,000 to 2,000 crore. The methods are complex but systemic. Fake ownerships, documents are created. Non-existing hires are fabricated, old properties are transferred illegally through manipulated records. In many cases, land that has belonged to families for generations is taken away without their knowledge. And then there are aspects of tourism that is not discussed openly. Goa's nightlife and party culture have created space for a parallel economy. Human trafficking networks. People are often brought in with promises of legitimate work and then exploited. These operations have evolved over time. Instead of visible setups, they now function through decentralized private environments, making them very hard to detect and control. At the same time, easy access to drugs and alcohol has had a visible impact on local communities, especially younger populations. These are not the aspects that are really showed in the travel vlogs or the travel documentaries, but they do exist in the ecosystem. So what exactly went wrong? It isn't only about the tourism. Tourism, when managed properly, can be a very powerful driver of growth and development. The problem is in the way that it has been allowed to grow, without clear limits, without long-term planning, and without proper protection to the system that actually sustained Goa over the decades. More constructions, more visitors, more commercialization, all happening faster than actually what the state can handle. And at some point, the balance starts to break.